playoffs have begun for the 49ers. And the 49ers will be facing off against the Minnesota Vikings in the divisional round of the playoffs. And, I believe we can win this game. I really do. But we got to be at our best. We have to be at our best in this game because the Vikings are going to try hard. They're going to try hard to beat us. And, it's going to be that kind of game where the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. I kind of get a feeling it's going to be that kind of game. And I believe it's going to be a close game, but to tell you the truth, I don't like those close games. I really don't. All season long, we've had these close games, against the Rams, against the Seahawks, against the Saints, the Steelers, the two games against the Cardinals. I mean, there have been occasions during the season we've had these close games, these nail-biting games. And I'll tell you one thing, they don't do any good for your blood pressure. I can tell you that right now. And it was kind of that, it's kind of that way, in the playoffs because every game is an elimination game, and you got to be just nervous if your team is close, very close, in a tournament, in a playoff game because you lose, you go home. It's nerve wracking. So I'm kind of hopeful that they will get off to a good start and maybe win by a couple of scores at least. I know that's going to be hard to do because the Vikings are a good team, but I'm kind of wishful for that. One of the things I think the Vikings are going to do, I think they're going to come out trying to run at us. I think they're going to come out and try to run at us because they know that our pass rush, we got a lot of guys back healthy on the defense. Quan Alexander is coming back. D Ford might be playing. So, my guess is they're going to try to come out running the football and try to get Dalvin Cooks going. I think they're going to try to get him going and try to wear our defense down with a running game and try to get things opened up with a running game. But the 49ers say that they will be focused on that. They will be focused on Dalvin Cook. And that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to watch out for him, what he's doing. And I also, too, another thing that we have to do is also we have to protect Jimmy Garoppolo. We need to give him protection. Now I know that he does have, a habit of holding on to the ball too long. But he's got to get rid of that ball. If there's nothing open, run out of the pocket and throw the ball away or pick up something with your feet. Don't stand there and like a deer in the headlights so he's got to get rid of the ball and if there's nobody open. I don't like taking a loss for yards. I don't like that. I don't mind losing downs, but I don't like losing yards. And I'm a big Jimmy Garoppolo supporter. I just want him to do well. I know he doesn't get a lot of respect. If you listen to, Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. Smith and some others, they don't trust him. But here's the thing about though. Jimmy G has thrown interceptions, yes. But I've never seen him throw an interception that cost them a football game. At the very end of the game. Like some quarterbacks, even the great quarterback, really good quarterbacks in the league, have thrown interceptions that cost their team a game. Just like, a week ago, Tom Brady, he threw that pick six. They needed to get down the field, try to get on the board, and he threw a pick six, which cost them the game. I haven't seen Jimmy G do anything like that. I don't want to speak too soon. It could happen, but I'm just saying that recently he hasn't done that. He hasn't done anything to ruin the chances for his team. But protecting him is important, and he does need the playoff experience, because if we're ever going to go anywhere in the future, like in future years, if we're to get into the playoffs again, he's got to have that experience under his belt. So he's going to be getting that later today. So it's important for him to get that experience. I'm hoping that he has a brilliant day. We need to win this game, because there's a lot of people in the media that are counting us out still. We got the number one seed, and in the NFL, and these analysts are still talking about us like we're just lucky to be in it. Like we're still that same old bad team. That can't get anything done. We're the same team that we've been the last 5 years, and we're just lucky to be able to get into it. We're still that same team. No, we're not. We're a much better football team. That's the thing these analysts don't understand. They're still living in the past, still thinking we're that same team, and they're biased. They're always biased, and it's obvious because of how they talk about us and how they say we can't get anywhere. But that's why I hope we win this game, because it's important. Not only to get to where you want to go and win it all, but also to shut these pundits up too. But we'll see what happens. I have faith in them. I think they can win. Now I know that anything can happen in the playoffs. I remember back in 1987, 49ers had the best record in football, and they were the favorites to win it all. And the Minnesota Vikings come in there and pull off a huge upset. 49ers were big favorites in that game. 49ers were 11-point favorites in that game, and it didn't matter. They lost. So I'm just hoping that history doesn't repeat itself. But like I said, I believe we'll win. We just have to go into this game and really take care of business. Try to limit the mistakes. Try not to turn the football over. Don't get dumb penalties. Because this Viking team has shown that they can go into a place like New Orleans, a hard place to win, and pull off an upset. They've shown that. Now, that game against the Saints, maybe the Saints took them lightly. Sometimes, these kind of things happen. Teams, they look at this and they don't, they look at a team that they're playing, and it's like, well, this team is, we're far better than this team. We can beat this team. They overlook that team and they get shocked. Complacency can be a bummer. You know what I mean? So I think that I think the 49ers got to go win this game. They can't, the 49ers are not going to overlook the Vikings. They're not going to overlook them because the Saints did. And now the 49ers know what to expect from the Vikings. So it's going to be an interesting game. And I think the 49ers, look, there's a lot that's the 49ers are playing for. There's things they're playing for, not just to win it all. But about a year ago, Jed York went into the locker room after a 49er win. I think it was after the Seahawk win. This was in the 2018 season. And he went into the locker room and he told all the players in there that that we're gonna get my brother a ring. He talked about how his brother loved the 49ers, was a big fan of the 49ers. His brother, Jed York's brother, passed away, and he talked about how we're going to get my brother a ring. And this was back in 2018. This was the last season. So I kind of have a feeling that this season may have been motivated around that, and certainly what happened to CJ's brother too. CJ brother's being killed and murdered. I'm sure the team is playing for that too. So there's a lot of things this team's going into this game for, but they've got to not take the Vikings lightly. They have got to play a good, clean, decent game. They got to get after Kirk Cousins with this guy and with the rest of the defense. They got to get after Kirk Cousins. They he now here's the thing though about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins may not be a scrambler or runner like these other running quarterbacks that we've been facing. Like Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyle Murray. Where you know he's not that. Cousins is not that kind of quarterback. He's more of a drop back and pass kind of quarterback. Although I noticed in the Saints game, he did a lot of rollout plays, a lot of bootlegs, a lot of screen passes that were effective, and that's something that our defense sometimes struggles against, is those little bootlegs and rollouts and screen plays. Because our last game against the Rams, Jared Goff was doing that a lot to us, and it was effective. And a lot of teams know that we are vulnerable to that. I don't, we may not be as vulnerable in this game as we have been in the past to it, because we got guys coming back healthy and everything. But I'm pretty sure that will be one of the things that the Vikings will use. I think they'll get Cook going, the running back, Delvin Cook going in the beginning of that game, I think. But I think that when they do pass, they'll probably do a lot of rollouts, screens. They'll probably do a lot of bootlegs and stuff like that, and we just have to be ready for it. We have to bring pressure on Kirk Cousins. We have to try to force him to make mistakes. It is possible. He is the kind of quarterback that can be forced to make mistakes, and that's one of the things we're going to have to do. We're going to have to get into the back, get after him, make him make throws he doesn't want to throw, make him feel uncomfortable. If we can do that, we got him. Also, another thing too is, defensively, or also on our offense, we have some opportunities that we can take advantage of. For instance, the Vikings have some DBs that are hurt. Some are banged up. Some aren't going to play. I think, and we need to take advantage of that. But it all starts with protecting Jimmy Garoppolo in the pocket. We got to protect him. Just because their DBs are a little banged up doesn't mean that Jimmy G can get those passes off. He's got to be protected too, because the Vikings do have a good defensive line. So getting those passes off is going to be very key and very important. But if we could take care of these things, also get our running game going. Get our own running game going. I think that's important. Maybe mix it up a little bit, with the run and the pass and ball control, and we could win this game, and I believe we can, but, like I said, it's not going to come easy. I know that some people are making blowout predictions. I would caution people on that. What we got to do is just got to take care of those little things. And I believe we can win this game. But we can't have penalties and stuff like that, turnovers. The team's going to be healthy, or a little bit healthier. D Ford's return is not 100% sure. They said week that he was going to return, but now they're saying that it could be a game time decision. And I don't know what it is with D Ford, but he has some serious problems with his hamstrings. Those injuries that he has. I mean, it just seems like he always has it. It seems like no matter what, he's always got that injury. And 2-3 weeks could pass by and he's still hurt there. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. How nobody seems to recover in that area of their body. I don't know. It's kind of strange, an injury that just kind of lingers like that. But we got to get him. Got to get. I know they don't want to play him, but this is an elimination game, so I would say all hands on deck. We need all our top guns out there, and maybe they feel that they could probably win this game without him and save him for whomever we play next week if we win this game. save them for whomever we're playing next week. Um, but this is going to be a big test for us. The Vikings are feeling pretty good and mighty about their win over the Saints, and they're going to come in there and they're going to throw everything that they possibly can at us. They're going to try hard, even with them banged up. They're going to try hard. So our guys have to be up to the task, not to take them lightly. Um, don't make mistakes. I mean, if you're going to make mistakes are going to happen, but try to limit those mistakes. Try to protect the football. Don't make dumb penalties, things that can cost the game. These are all important. This is all very important. Um, and so these things that we got to take care of these things so we can win the game. It's gonna be a tough match, I think. Um, now, the 49ers. I know that they don't all have a lot of playoff experience. I do know that there's some of them that do, like Richard Sherman. He has playoff experience. Emmanuel Sanders, he's got playoff experience. Um, and Joe Staley, he's got playoff experience. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo has never played in a playoff game, but he has seen the playoffs up close as a backup behind Tom Brady. So he knows what that atmosphere is all about. And I'm sure that these guys that have that playoff experience are going to be the leaders. And they're going to help the young guys out, on what to do and give them motivation and be like field generals out there. So, that's going to help things. I mean, when people say, well, this team doesn't have enough playoff experience, that could be their downfall. Well, if you look at history, you know, take a look at Joe Montana's first Super Bowl team. That team hadn't tasted the playoffs. They were a young team back in 1981. They never had tasted the playoffs, and they went in there and they went all the way to the Super Bowl and won. Jim Harbaugh's first 49er team, you know, um, that 2011 team. I mean, a lot of those guys didn't have playoff experience, yet they went into the playoffs and they did get a win. I mean, they lost in the NFC Championship game in 2011 because of a guy named Kyle Williams that kept turning the football over on kickoff and punt return. So, um, that guy, so that, but they did get a win that season. And they didn't have experience. They went into the playoffs and they beat the Saints. So this stuff about, well, they don't have playoff experience, so they may not be good or whatever, that's a bunch of rubbish. What about all the teams that have never been to the playoffs before and get to the playoffs and win it all? That does happen. So I think that's a little bit ridiculous. And then I heard, on Good Morning Football, what's his name, Kyle Bundon or whatever his name is. He was like saying that the 49ers could be up to a bet. It could be troublesome to the 49ers that, they've been having a bye, a week's rest, and all that, while the other team, the Vikings, just came off a win and have all that momentum going while the 49ers are so relaxed. But the thing of it is that what he doesn't understand is coming off of that win against the Saints, the Vikings came out of that game with injuries. They got a little more beat up, while the 49ers have guys coming back. I mean, is he suggesting that every single team on this playoff weekend is going? Every team that has a bye is going to lose. So I can't buy into that. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about tonight, about today's game. I never try to get my hopes up too high because I know, I've experienced the frustration and disappointment of losing in the playoffs before. So I tried not to, because like I said, like back in 1987, when the 49ers lost to the Vikings in the playoffs, I was just excited. I thought, oh, this is our year. We're gonna do it. We got the Vikings coming to town. This will be like a bye week, and because we're playing against an easy team. And I was just beside myself after that game. The Vikings that year were a team that backed into the playoffs, and they beat the 49ers, a team that had the best record in football, home field advantage, and I was just beside myself. I was like, how could this happen? I mean, this has to be a nightmare. This has to be a dream. But it wasn't. It wasn't a dream, and it wasn't a nightmare. It was reality, and they lost that game. And ever since then, I try not to get my hopes up too high, because when you get your hopes up too high, eventually you'll have a hangover with a disappoint. If the team loses, you get this big hangover that comes with it. So I try not to get my hopes up. I just look at the game cautiously optimistic. I'm not ruling out that my team can't win. I'm just I'm not I just taking it. You know um, I'm trying to take it as realistically as I can, that and it's the playoffs and anything can happen, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But I believe they can win this game. I really do. I'm just being cautiously optimistic about it, and so I don't end up being disappointed if they really do lose. But team's got to play good. That's all there is to it. And I think that we can win this game. I want us to, though, get up by a couple of scores. I mean, even if it's 10-point lead, if we can win the game by 10 or whatever, I'll be happy. But man, I don't want another nail biter. I do not like these nail biting games, especially if it's a game that's an elimination game. The impending danger, of losing that game. Yeah, it's just not a good feeling. And in the playoffs, there is no tomorrow. You know, there is no next week. No, there's no bounce back game. The only thing, if you lose, the only thing you can do is go to your locker the next day and clean it out for the season, and don't report until camp. You know, that's what happens when you lose in the playoffs. And I just hope they can do it. Because it's important. Also, it's important for Jimmy Garoppolo, because if he doesn't win, if the team doesn't win, people will say, well, Jimmy Garoppolo can't win in the playoffs. He hasn't proven it to us yet. That's how it was with Kirk Cousins for so long, and he got a win against the Saints, and now that monkey's off his back. But if Jimmy Garoppolo does not win, um, people are going to say, he still has to prove he can win a playoff game, and he'll have that monkey on his back. So, gotta win that game. And take advantage. We got to take advantage of Minnesota's injuries. Go after them where they're hurt. You know, because I think we can win this game if we take advantage of certain things. Um, and you know, we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about the game. I'll do an aftermath video, of course, talking about whether they lost or they won or whatever. But hopefully it's a win. I think it can be a win. I think it most likely will be a win. But we'll look at this game. We'll talk about. I'll do a video on it, and we'll see what where we go from there. But anyways, take care, and hopefully when I do my video, well, I'll have something to feel good about. Okay, everybody, take care.